أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا، وبعد. Barakallah. I think, did we give a homework last Sunday? No? There was no homework about the trigonals? Hmm?
There was one that we didn't go over the answers for in the previous class.
Okay. Which one is that? In a room?
Yeah, 30, 32, you didn't need the answers for that.
Okay. Okay.
You did the answers for Kahf, but not for who.
Okay. So those are the ayah 30, 31. Mm-hmm.
The last box of the puzzles, the story of the two
Ah? The story of?
the third part of Surah Kahf, the story of building the wall, that one to do with we discussed the first two, but the third
We'll discuss the third one,
Surah Kahf.
which is, okay, which is of course very,
Of Amal.
yeah, which has to do with, of course, Amal. Amal salih, righteous deed. Which all has to do with, of course, the idea of raising a structure, building. That every true action is an act of construction, to build, to make, to raise up. And here I use the wall as an example of that, because the wall is a structure. So if you remember, that's why when God talks about, so as we see in Surah 2, Surah Rum, the ayahs that we are talking about, which is منيبين إليه واتقوه وأقيموا الصلاة ولا تكونوا من المشركين. So verse 31 of Surah Al-Rum, من الذين فرقوا دينهم وكانوا شيعا كل حزب بما لديهم فرحون. So منيبين إليه, so inaba, منيبين إليه واتقوه, and then taqwa, وأقيموا الصلاة, and establish prayer. So the word to raise up is there. أقيم, قام يقوم. So أقامها, فأقامه, he makes the world stand straight. So the same idea of making your prayer stand. Same أقيمه. But we use the word establish your prayer. As the prayer is something that you have to raise up, you have to build. If you don't build it, then it falls. So the idea of raising up is the very idea of action. When we talk about righteous deed, that's the archetype. Be a builder, and when you build straight. There's no bend, there's no crookedness, and it has to be straight and well structured and well constructed. So that's hence the insistence on the word aqimu, not just say we pray, but really says that in the Quran. Prayer, he said establish prayer or raise prayer. So it was the word iqam is salah. So that part I think people don't pay attention to that word iqama. Aqam as-salah. Wa ata az-zakah. To aqam as-salah. Salah is something that you build, you raise. Then if you do that, then it stands. God accepts it. If it falls, then it's not accepted. So the way that the guide raised the wall back up, because the wall is leaning on the fall, and he fixed it, he put it straight. أقامها. That's how you should proceed in your actions. Whatever action you do, should have that in the back of your mind. You do it well, you do it interactively with God. I mean, you build with God. It's like God said to Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, وَاصْنَعِ الْفُلْكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا. Build the ship with my inspiration and my gaze. Under my eyes, I will look at it. So I'll inspire wahy and ayn. واصنع الفلك بأعيننا ووحينا. Thus, many are those who pray, few are those who establish their prayer. Yeah, few, very, very few. I mean, most people don't pray the way that God is established prayer. And they just pray, they don't establish prayer. So, this is verse 27 of Surah Al-Mu'minun. فأوحينا إليه أن أصنع الفلك بأعيننا ووحينا. And we communicated secretly with him, saying that, or symbolically, with him saying that, build a ship with under our eyes and under our inspiration. That is to say that if you establish your prayer, then that's what happens. God looks at it and also inspires it. In which case, that act, the result of that act will abide. So whatever God looks at never perishes ever after. Whatever He looks at. So, بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا. If you establish your prayer, then it's going to be under my eyes and also under my instructions. I'll speak to you and also look at what you're doing. Walaikum salam. And whatever that may be, that's going to remain forever. That's going to abide. Walaikum salam. So we see that in the case of this, the story of Sayyidina Musa and the guide in Kahf. So God clearly tells us that. That gives the background to why, in the first place, Al-Khidr was there to raise this wall. Why? Why this wall? Why did his action? So that is. So let's go back to the story in Kahf. So that is verse 82. وأما الجدار فكان الغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا فأراد ربك أن يبلغا أشدهما ويستخرجا كنزهما رحمة من ربك وما فعلته عن أمري ذلك تأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا. As for the wall, it was for two orphan boys in the city. And underneath it was a treasure. And their father was righteous. And your Lord wanted that they reach the fullness of their age and extract their treasure as a mercy from your Lord. And I have not done this out of my own accord, of my own. That is the interpretation of that which we are not able to bear with. So, why was he there to rescue this world? I mean, inside. Yes.
وكان أبوهما صالحا,
Mm-hmm.
the righteousness of the parents,
Mm-hmm.
because Allah said, وليخشى الذين لو تركوا من خلفهم ذرية ضعافا خافوا عليهم
Mm-hmm.
فليتقوا الله وليقولوا قولا سديدا.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents were righteous, so Allah took care of them, and He sent Sayyidina Khidr alayhi salam to raise the wall and to protect the children, because they had taqwa of Allah.
That's close to the answer. Does not give me the full explanation I need, but that's part of the answer. So inshallah, especially those of you who are teachers, this story can provide you lots of material for teaching children. And we're teaching all, of course, all the way from kindergarten to postgraduate, postdoctorate. The rest of your life, you can keep learning this story and never finish. That's why it's a treasure. How can you finish God's treasure? You keep digging, you keep getting new new jewels and gems and so forth. So it's very profound. So yes, your explanation is in the right direction. It did not give me the full explanation I need. So yes, God spoke about that their father, some say that was their grandparent, either way, was a righteous man. Which implies that the wall that he built was built with righteously. That's what we're talking about. Was an action that he took. So he raised the wall, so to speak, because it was a righteously built under the gaze of God and by His inspiration. So because of that wall will not fall. See, it's about to fall. God sends somebody to push it back. And that's going to continue. Unless the purpose of the wall is normal, is ends, then wall doesn't have to be there anymore. Once they get the treasure out of it, then the wall can fall. But until then, it will not fall. Somebody will come and fix it. Because of the initial act that built it. The act that was righteous. So that's kind of the full explanation I wanted. So, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا is the answer. Their parent was righteous, and he built the world righteously. كان صالحا وبنى الجدار بالصلاح. صالحا مصلحا صالحا في نفسه ومصلحا لغيره. He was righteous within himself and also a doer of righteousness. So because of that, his action will never go in vain. God said in the Quran, God will not allow suffer the reward of the righteous to go in vain. لا يضيع أجر المحسنين ما إلى ذلك. So that is a very good reminder that whatever you've done, you've done it righteously, that's going to remain. It will not perish. As long as the purpose for which it was built is there. If that purpose ends, then there's no need for the building to stand anymore.
So we see the same thing in the next story, which we're going to look at it from the trigonal perspective. The story of Dhul Qarnayn. It's an exact correlation to the story of Al-Khidr and Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. So is the way so Dhul Qarnayn, قُلْ سَأَتْلُو عَلَيْكُم مِّنْهُ ذِكْرًا. So they ask you about Dhul Qarnayn, tell them I'll recite a remembrance, dhikr, about him. إِنَّا مَكَنَّا لَهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. We have empowered him in the earth. Tamkeen. Allah says, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَّمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ وَنُمَكِّنْ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. We want to bestow our favor upon those who are oppressed. اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. I want to bestow my favor. So we see that in the story of Al-Khadr and Sayyidina Musa, who were the beneficiaries of the actions of Al-Khadr? They are all people who are oppressed, or people who are dispossessed. Miskins, yatims, so miskin, the needies, the orphans, weak parents, helpless parents, believers. So these are the people that when God brings a change in the world, they are the one that God brings up, raise them up higher. So وَنُرِيدُ, as Allah says, this is in Surah Al-Qasas, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَّمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. We want to bestow our favor upon those who are disfavored on the earth, are dispossessed and oppressed. وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً. We want to make them the leaders. وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. And we want to make them the inheritors. Those who will inherit the earth and the heaven. That's what it takes. To be a miskin, to be a yatim, to be a mustad'af. They are the ones that God will select to be the inheritors of the earth and of the heaven too. وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ الْوَارِثِينَ. I'm sure you heard about the famous conversation between Jannah and Jahannam. Within the hell and heaven, or paradise precisely, that hell was saying that, Jahannam was saying that, was proud. He said, look, all those who are inside me are the big people. Those who were paramount on the earth, those who were prominent on the earth, those who were powerful on the earth, those who were wealthy on the earth. So these are my inmates. These are the people that. And Jannah responded, oh, why is it that only the weak and the low are within me? As though Jannah felt that he's. But that's how it is. Those who go to the majority of the inhabitants of Jannah are the people who are like that, people who are invisible. in this world. They are the majority in Jannah. أكثر أهل الجنة البلح. The majority, the hadith says, the majority of the people of Jannah are the people who are simple-minded. Very simple people. So entering Jannah is easy but difficult at the same time. It's easy if you are humble. If it's difficult, if humility is a problem for you, then it's hard for you to enter. So So God explained that further. وَتِلْكَ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ نَجْعَلُهَا لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُرِيدُونَ عُلُوًّا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فَسَادًا وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That last home, whether the home dunya and akhirah, we give it to those who are not seeking to be high, uluwan in the earth. Those who are not seeking prominence on the earth, uluwan fil ard, wala fasada, and no mischief. Wal aqibatu lil muttaqin, and the ending always belongs to the muttaqin, which are the people of humility and so forth. So the story is inshallah, is very beautiful, especially if you want to teach the moral to the children, to the learners about using their talent, whatever gift Allah has given them, to assist the needy and the poor and the dispossessed, and never ever to employ their gift in the service of those who are tyrants and wicked and so forth. So that's it. That the other very important lesson to extract about raising the wall is, you spoke about that the wall lasted because it was built with righteousness. Because what is built with righteousness receives the attention of God. God looks at it and also guides the person secretly and tell him how to build it. So it's built with God's inspiration and also His merciful gaze. And because of that, it does not fall apart. And this is a clear example of that. That when the wall is about to fall, Allah sends somebody to fix it again. Because the purpose for which it was built is not fulfilled. That's to say that if you build something purposelessly, God has nothing to do with it. Build just for show, to fancy buildings and so forth. These are all useless in the sight of God. They will not last. They are not built with a purpose as aligned with the pleasure of God. So that is important. That it must be built with a true purpose. In this case, it was built to protect the treasure of the children. So therefore, it's built with God's pleasure and attention and so the same thing. This next story, which is the story of Dhul Qarnayn, also the wall that he built, he did not build it just because he wants to show how knowledgeable he was, how technically advanced his people were. All this God doesn't look at all. And it will not last for long because it has no purpose except showing grandeur and might. So the Khalid did not build it for that. He built it with a true purpose, which is to check in the mischief that is wrought by the Gog and Magog. He built it in defense of innocent people. So that is a true purpose, and God is going to lend help to such an endeavor. And because of that, it's still standing. And they keep trying to break it, they can't. Yeah. And that's true not only of the wall of Dhul Qarnayn, but that's true of anything that is built in the same way, with the same intent and purpose. It cannot be destroyed. They try and almost get close, and it is back again. It is former state. So it will not. So other houses like Kaaba and other houses are in that category. Probably the Great Pyramid as well in Egypt. Maybe it was built also with a true purpose from God, so it stands. It's all a standing building. But Dhul Qarnayn said, of course, he said, هذا رحمة من ربي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا وكان وعد ربي حقا. This what I built is with the mercy of my Lord. But when its purpose ends, when is that? When? That's one, and what else? When God wants Gog and Magog to take over. The appointed time when that comes, then the world will fall. Its purpose is served. So it goes. Until then, no. No matter what. It can be felt. So when my Lord, when my Lord's promise, which is the promise to allow Gog and Magog to end the wall, to release them from behind the wall, then at that point the wall will fall. The treasure from the wall, and the secret that is holding it together, is taken away. And God gives permission for it to fall. So these are some of the things that we seriously consider. Sometimes we assume that if somebody says, I'm going to build a mosque, that means that mosque is really a mosque. It is not always built that way. If it's not built with this intent, no. It's only a mosque in name. But if it is built just like the wall of Dhul Qarnayn and the wall of Al-Khidr, as mentioned, then it is built truly for God. And it is going to last. It's going to serve it until the time that God has written for it to end. So let's look at this story and see how we can identify the the trigonals. فأتبع سببا, he followed his path حتى إذا بلغ مغرب الشمس وجدها تغرب في عين حمئة ووجد عندها قوما قلنا يا ذا القرنين إما أن تعذب وإما أن تتخذ فيهم حسنا قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه ثم يرد إلى ربه فيعذبه عذابا نكرا وأما من آمن وعمل صالحا فله جزاء الحسنى وسنقول له من أمرنا يسرا ثم أتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ مطلع الشمس وجدها تطلع على قوم لم نجعل له من دونها سترا كذلك وقد أحطنا بما لديه خبرا. So he continued until he reached the setting point of the sun, and he found it, the sun, setting in a murky water, dark water. And thereat he found a people, and we said, O Dhul Qarnayn, either you punish or treat with gentleness and kindness. He said, yes, whoever does wrong, dhulm, we will indeed punish. And then he returns back to his Lord, who will punish him even more. Whoever believes and does righteous deed, then for him there will be a goodly reward. And we will speak to him gently from our affair. And he continued his path until he reached the rising point of the sun, and found it, the sun, rising over a people between whom and the sun there is no veil. Thus, كذلك وقد أحطنا بما لديه خبرا. Thus we encompass whatever news was with him. Then he continued his path until he reached between the two boundaries. The two boundaries. And he found there below a people who hardly understand any language. And they said, O Dhul Qarnayn, Gog and Magog are spreading mischief on the earth. Can we pay taxes to you that you built a barrier between us and them? He said, Ma makkanni fihi. So, well, my Lord has empowered me. So we said, Makkanna lahu fil ard. We have empowered him on the earth. That doesn't mean that we spoke about, if you remember, that the inner empowerment and the outer empowerment. What's the inner empowerment? Iman, exactly. Iman and all the, spiritual growth and development, and that has to happen first before the outer empowerment, which is to be empowered outwardly. And this, So Sayyidina Yusuf, as he said, he went through both, alayhi salam, he went through both empowerments. First time God said, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلْنُعَلِّمَهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. Thus we empowered Yusuf on the earth that we may teach him the interpretation of the dream. So we may teach him, that was the first empowerment, to be taught, to be given the knowledge and the wisdom as inner empowerment. And the outer empowerment is the actual exercise of power. to be made to be empowered with whatever empowerment, tools of empowerment that exist on the earth. So those two, the inner empowerment must happen first, otherwise it's trouble. If you are empowered outwardly, but your empowerment inwardly is either null or is insufficient, then it's a problem. The outer empowerment will deviate you. It will corrupt you. So that's why God built all the messenger they go through, that He empowered them first inside before He gives them outer empowerment. If you look at even the Surah, the biography, the life story of the Prophet ﷺ, so all the time from the cave to Mecca, it was all inner empowerment. And once that inner empowerment was completed, then He moved them to Medina and gave them the outer empowerment. So they are empowered inwardly and now outwardly. So they have a power. So التمكين الباطني والتمكين الظاهري. Because in both cases, the point is that the inner empowerment allows you to inherit Jannah and so forth and so forth. The outer empowerment allows you to inherit the earth. But the other one has to come first. That's why God put Adam in Jannah first, then He brought him here. So he was empowered first by connecting with Jannah, and then once that's done, then He brought him on the earth and make him a Khalifa and empowered him, and not the other way around. So those who get outer empowerment without inner empowerment, as you can see, that's all the problem in the world. There is no inner empowerment. That's why Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to say that تفقهوا قبل أن تسودوا. Now study, have a deep understanding of the deen before you take on leadership positions. He said, because once you do that, it's very hard for you to come down to study, to learn. It's difficult. So get that done first before you get empowered. So تفقهوا قبل أن تسودوا. So God said, so it was, إِنَّا مَكَّنَّا لَهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. We empowered him on the earth. So he repeated the same thing himself. قَالَ مَا مَكَّنِّي فِيهِ رَبِّي خَيْرٌ. What my Lord has empowered me is better than what He has given to you. So just give me your manpower and I'll build the rampart for you, the ramp for you. Then he goes on to how he built the ramp with iron, fire, air, the four elements, how he put the four elements together to build the wall. That knowledge. So you have all the four elements combined. Air, fire, iron, and black matter. Qatr, here in this ayah. قال آتوني أفرق عليه قطرة, which was that glued everything together. So the wall solid. But that alone is not the guarantee for it to stand this long. The guarantee was that it was built with a true purpose. And thus, it was something that God gazed upon and inspired him when he was building it. فَمَا اسْتَوَى يَظْهَرُهُ مَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. They were not able to scale it, to go over it, because it's built very, very tall. So very tall and very deep. مَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. And they could not dig underneath either. So they cannot go over it and they can go below. So they tried both every day. They cannot. So once, but he was not like a self-proclaimed engineer. قال هذا رحمة من ربي. He gave the credit to who? To God. This is my Lord's mercy. It's not my knowledge, it's not my skill, nothing. رحمة من ربي. فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا. I'm sure you all know the story of what was the name of that big ship that was built and was thought that he was huh? And the story behind it. God's name was never mentioned in making it. فإذا جاء وعد ربي. Nonetheless, he's saying that I built it by my Lord's mercy, but when his time comes, when his promise, the time that he said for the world to end, then the world is going to fall. جعله دكا. He'll make it level. وكان وعد ربي حقا. And my Lord's promise must come to pass. It's true. So inshallah, I'm sure by now everybody's very conversant with trigonals, and you know how to extract or build everything around trigonals. So where do we see the 3 steps here in this story? Why is Tawbah? Why is Iman? Why is Amal? Al story, yes. Yes. if you it'll be easy if you compare, if you compare with the story of Al-Khidr and Sayyidina Musa. Is easier to
Imam, you're asking where's Amal, Iman, and
of course, Tawbah.
just in general, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it Iman where sort of Toba when he's at the murky water,
Mhm.
and it makes me think of the black matter and zikr
Okay.
and that place, and then he's at and in terms of when he goes to the place where he has to do judgment, it's adil and asl, like it's not taqwa, where he has to say reward the righteous people and punish the people who are who have not done well. So that's the taqwa part. And amal part is where he's erecting the wall.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Except that you left some details we have to
Oh,
account for.
okay.
But that's good. Your answer is good. So yes, the murky water has to do with Tawbah, as we saw in the story of Al-Khidr and Sayyidina Musa, when he cracked the ship. Cracked the ship. And he cracked the ship so that the ship can be exposed and have a flaw in it that will allow it to absorb the murky water. So in we see the beginning, to the water that represents the water of the primordial time, the dark waters of the beginning. So returning back, so that represents the act of Tawbah. So Tawbah is to bring you back to that beginning. Because that water makes you whole. makes you wholesome again. All the tear and wear that you go through. Once you dipped in that water, you come back whole. But then most people have, because of fear holds them back from immersing themselves into the murky water. So that is a big problem. As long as you have that fear, you can't let go of the fear, then you cannot experience a full immersion. Therefore, a full return to faith. So this is in both stories, that's what the water represents. So Al-Qadr cracking the ship is to remove that fear, the fear of drowning. If you're drowning, but if you drown in that water, that's what needs to happen. Is to drown in it. Like Salah bin Masjid said in the Masjid Salah, وَزُجَّ بِي فِي بِهَارِ الْأَحْدِيَّةِ وَانْشُرْ لِي مِنْ أَوْهَالِ التَّوْحِيدِ. Dip me in the ocean of unity. Extract me from the muddy waters of Tawheed. So you have to go all the way in, don't stay in the mud. Go deep in the ocean. Those muddy things, that's the problem. وأغرقني في عين بحر الوحدة. So most of these, of course, these salawats, that the Arifin, high-ranking Gnostics, they compose when is the sum of their experience, the total sum and the total of their spiritual experience. That's why they put in the salawat. It usually happens, of course, when they have managed to go back and witness the beginning, and these salawats emerge naturally out of them. It's not something that they contrive to make, it's something that spontaneously comes from God. So what he's saying is what he's witnessing. It's not thinking about it and writing it. He was witnessing it. So أغرقني, drown me into the essence of the ocean of oneness in بحر الوحدة. So the same thing where these stories are saying. That's nothing strange. It's in the Quran. Whatever they say in their salawat is in the Quran. People cannot just put the two together. So the same, if you look at all the salawat, they have the concept of faith, or divine outpour. So the dipping of the sea, the sun going completely dipping in the murky water. So if you take that, as the sun dips in the murky water, your soul also needs to do the same thing, to dip in the murky water. As much as it dips, immerses itself in the murky water, as much as it rises and shines. And shines, becomes. Okay, can continue, inshallah. Next. Anyway, inshallah, everybody has a homework on and to write a good essay on both stories. Al-Khidr and I think still Al-Khidr and Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Al-Qarnayn story as well, inshallah. A detailed essay, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum.
Imam, when you were saying about dipping the sun into the water, it also makes me think about the verse in Quran where the shadow is still and God raises it up. So it's the same thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's just exact same thing, but
The same
but a
thing.
different. So as a soul, can you experience either one of them? Is the experience different because your one is thinking, surrendering, like it's like surrendering, getting rid of your fears, surrendering. So that's Tawbah. And it's also, is that Tawbah to the same thing?
That will be Iman.
That'd be
Mm,
Iman.
that's-
So that'd be Iman.
be
But
Iman.
the same thing.
The same thing. Yeah. And in either way, the most important thing is the state of self-surrender. So that it's God who dips you and raises you. It's not you doing anything. You just surrender. So, but those who don't surrender, it doesn't happen for them. So I said, Amma man dhalama. Dhulm here, I mean, shirk. Inshallah. Barakallah.